West Haven, the youngest city in all of Connecticut, home to the longest public shoreline in the state, and where you can get some of the best pizza in the country. This is my hometown, where I was raised, where my parents were raised, and where my closest friends were raised. Other towns seem to have a weird idea about my city. People have a negative view. Despite this, the longtime residents feel strongly that West Haven is the best place in Connecticut to live and raise a family. Where does this negative view come from? Well, first let's talk some history. West Haven has been around for a long time. We were first established as a parish in 1720. In 1779, during the Revolutionary War, the British actually landed on West Haven's shore. They marched down what is now Campbell Ave and straight to the Green. William Campbell, a British soldier, saved a West Haven minister on our green. Now, our main street in the city is named after him, making it the only street in the United States to be named after an enemy soldier. Later, in 1822, we became part of Orange, which is the town over. In 1921, we became our own town and upgraded to the title of city in 1961. West Haven back in the day was hustling and bustling with things to do and places to go. Campbell Ave was lined with mom and pop stores that people flocked to for shopping. Anything you needed, you could find in that strip. The Armstrong Tire Company moved in during the 20s, where it became one of the world's biggest tire manufacturers. West Haven was also home to Savin Rock Amusement Park. There were games and food and rides and piers, you name it. At one point, we were even said to have more hot dog stands than Coney Island. It was a very popular vacation spot back then. Once the park closed down in the 1960s, West Haven started its slow decline. With that said, the 70s and 80s were still a great time for West Haven. The people I talked with all grew up during this time and had lots of good to say.
West Haven was a good tight-knit community back then. It was a good place to grow up.
Growing up in West Haven was fun. I mean, I have lifelong friends growing up in West Haven.
We lived on the beach. I still live on the beach. We had chicks right down the way, Morris Park, hanging out with friends up and down our block on East Avenue.
A lot of kids in the same age bracket, which was good. So we walked to school together every day. We walked home for lunch. We had a lot of fun on that little walk back and forth.
Every neighborhood seemed to have a lot of kids in it. After school, we'd play sometimes neighborhood versus neighborhood type stuff.
It seemed like every house had a child my age, so there was lots of friends around. And back then our center was hustling and bustling, and I was down there living in that area. There was an awful lot to do. There was from sports to entertainment. There was a lot to do.
The heyday, not even the heyday because I wasn't even alive for Savin Rock, but even like when Captain's Galley was open, when CJM's was open, when there was a restaurant in the 80s called the Casino, which is the conference center, you know, when there was like more nightlife and there was more life to the town where people came here specifically to go out at night.
Downtown West Haven was pretty much bustling. There was a lot of activity, there was a lot of businesses downtown.
Armstrong Building was open, and that closed in the 80s. That employed a lot of people. Along the Post Road, there were businesses that aren't there anymore. Allentown was a very popular place to go for shopping.
Oh, the whole beach. The whole beach used to be full of places to go, chicks, and it was a whole different time.
It really was a different time. A lot of our famous businesses are no longer here. Chick's Drive-In, CJM's, the Bilco Company, Captain's Galley, the Casino, and Armstrong Tires are just a few of the significant names to close its doors or move to another city. With all this in mind, I had to ask the essential question. What have you heard other people outside of West Haven call West Haven?
Well, it's West Haven.
Oh, So the West Haven's biggest nickname, and it's been that way forever, was Waste Haven.
Well, you've heard like Waste Haven, right? Everyone's heard that.
Oh, there's so many. Waste Haven.
I think the big one is always Waste Haven.
It makes my blood boil when people say that, because it's not a waste.
I don't know where that originated, if it was a time or if it's to do with wasted space or wasted buildings.
And part of it is, I think, like if you're driving down the Post Road, you have really nice stores in Milford and then Orange, and then you get to West Haven and the stores aren't as nice, or Beach Street area, for some reason businesses are reluctant to move in to the old Debonair Motel or Chick's Drive-In where the old Captain's Galley used to be,
I attribute that a lot to just the nature of the news media. We only seem to make the news and the papers when something bad happens. And every town has bad things happen and a handful of troublemakers. Ours just seem to end up at the forefront of every news report.
I hear all the time, and it's very frustrating, especially when I was mayor, that we walked along your beach and, what a beautiful beach you have, but then they go back to their towns. And, that's just something, it's hard to do that. I mean, they all come here for entertainment and they'll walk along our shoreline and use our services, but then they go to other towns and kind of talk disparagingly about West Haven. I thought a lot about why that happens, and I tell you the truth, I don't know. I think it's just really people don't know West Haven.
You might be wondering, what is there to know? On the surface, we kind of come off as a town who has hit its peak and has been on the decline for years. But there is more to West Haven than what meets the eye.
We're a loud bunch. But you know what? When the chips are stacked against us, you can't beat us. When we rally like nobody's business, honestly. Whenever there's, I know you've seen it with just growing up and just, when somebody is sick and they have a fundraiser or a GoFundMe or a charity night somewhere.
Yeah, when there's like somebody's in need in West Haven, somebody's sick or something, people come out no matter where they're from, what part of West Haven they're from, they come out to support each other. West Haven people are really support each other. For Allentown, we have Carol Brown and the Black Coalition and that whole group up there. We've partnered many times with different groups. From the Fireworks Committee has their fundraisers and they partner with other groups. We have the West Haven Irish American, the Italian American Club, the Elks Club. Everybody will get together for a common goal. And that's, what I think is just great about the people of West Haven. But then the individual residents of West Haven, you ask someone for help and they're always there to help. It's a very close-knit community, the entire city.
I'm a member and past master of Anamon Lodge, number 115 of Ancient, Free, and Accepted Masons in West Haven. My year as master or leader of the lodge, we raised money for the wheat program, specifically for their roof project, to get a new roof on the building. And we had a large fundraising dinner in honoring our West Haven's first responders, our three fire departments, the police department, the UNH police department, and so forth. And that money went towards wheat. The Elks in West Haven, they do a lot of charitable work also, and lots of different organizations work towards charitable giving to help out people in the city of West Haven.
Being involved with Our Lady of Victory Church, we had one of the organizations that we had was called the Beacon on the Hill, which was up on Jones Hill Road. And that was community involvement. And now that Our Lady of Victory on Jones Hill Road has closed and moved to St. John Vianney campus, the Beacon on the Hill was moved and spread out to other churches in West Haven. So all of these different organizations get together and they bring diapers and food. So there's a food bank, we have clothing drives, diaper banks. So all that to help the underprivileged people that live here. So there's the community at whole comes together to help other people. And it's wonderful to see when we run food drives or diaper drives, the amount of people that come just in our small city that come and help out. It is amazing to watch. Every other Saturday now, like tomorrow, a bunch of us get together from different church communities and we deliver food to senior citizens that are underprivileged. So it's called Farm to Table. And so the food is brought in from farms across the country, and they come in here, and then we volunteer to take, and we go and deliver to people. So that's the family part of it, right? So we're taking care of, these are people we don't know, I've never met, but we get together, and there's hundreds of cars that come in and get these and bring them out.
If someone's sick, every group in town, every team, every club, every activity is fundraising for them, helping out the family, cooking, meal trains. If someone's injured, if someone's house catches fire, if someone's displaced and needs clothes, teachers are running out to the store for them. Students are bringing in food. We have a food pantry here at the high school and a clothes closet here at the high school for students who might be in need. And it's just, people are so generous and so giving, and if they can't give money and they can't give items, then they give of themselves and their support, emotional support. It's just amazing.
And every single person comes out, and people you haven't seen in 20 years. I heard so and so was sick. The names go on and on and on of people that somebody's not feeling well, somebody's house caught on fire, something. Let's go, everybody rally, let's do it. And that's the kind of community, you don't get that everywhere.
People have said to me, like, it's really amazing, like, you guys rally around each other.
West Haven, you could not get along with somebody for 30 years and all of a sudden they get sick and people stand up for them and do benefits and everything, and then it's, once they get better, they go back to not liking them again. So we do stick together when it's needed.
It's amazing to see when someone's in need, whether it's a student or a family or an animal, the town rally together.
I think that's kind of unique to other towns. I don't know if they do it as much as West Haven people do it.
When people think of West Haven, they're like, ew, you're from West Haven? Yeah, I'm proudly from West Haven.
We are not West Haven. We are far from it. We are a good and loving community that anyone in this city would give their shirt off their back for anyone in need. And if anyone in West Haven doesn't necessarily have a shirt on their back to give to someone in need, they'll borrow that shirt from somebody else and give to that person who's in need. There is no other town or city in the state of Connecticut, and the 169 cities make up Connecticut, there's no other town that is as giving and as loving and as charitable as the city of West Haven, bar none. West Haven is very much a family.
We value each other, we value family. I think that's a huge part of West Haven is, there's families.
The people I grew up with, I know from growing up in the center. I know their kids, I know them, I know their parents, I know their grandparents. It's just, again, it's a town where everybody knows everybody.
We're all connected. I know your uncle, and, I know your mom, and your dad was friends with my brother. They played hockey together, and his brother was friends with my other brother. They used to tend bar together, that's just you and me. But everybody seems to have those connections,
The people that have been here a long time, it is tight-knit, no matter what side of town you are. If the families are close, and you don't see somebody for 30 years, and all of a sudden it's just like the same thing, it's just, friendships last forever.
The kids I grew up with, still friends, we still talk to this day, we still hang out to this day. My best friend from 4th grade is still my best friend to this day. And then we extended upon that at the high school through my connections with the band. Those are the kids I'm still friends with. So a lot of people will say they made their lifelong friends in college, and I made great friends in college. I keep in touch with them, but that's not my crew. My crew are the kids I grew up with and the kids I was in band with here at the high school.
I don't know how it is in other towns as far as people staying, but it does seem in West Haven, people that are born here, and they wind up going to school locally and staying here in West Haven.
You never really leave. You're always like welcomed back. It's like, oh my gosh, so-and-so's coming into town. Let's get everyone, we gotta go out to dinner. And even people that leave come back. So I do know a lot of people, whether it's for different reasons, whether their job takes them someplace else, so their family leaves, or another opportunity, like you're saying, a bigger house, that they leave, and then a couple of years later, you're like in a grocery store. I thought you moved, or I thought you went down south. Yeah, we came back. Of course you did.
And West Haven years ago was voted the friendliest city. Did you know that?
I think West Haven, rightfully so, call themselves like the nicest people in Connecticut, or the kindest people in Connecticut, or something, the friendliest people in Connecticut.
I can't imagine living anywhere else. I think about it a lot, but to leave behind the home that I know my father grew up in, that my family's always owned, to leave behind the shoreline, to leave behind the band program that I'm a product of, to leave behind the school system that I'm a product of, and very proud to be a product of. I just can't imagine that.
I just can't imagine living anywhere else. I can't imagine living in Milford. No offense to Milford or Orange or East Haven, but I'm a Westie, you know what I mean?
I believe that this town, over any town, has the best sense of community, and we can rally the troops like nobody's business for good things, for bad things, for things we believe in, for things we're passionate about. And if being passionate is giving us a bad reputation, I'll take it.
So, we might not be the best at first glance. We have our problems, but doesn't everybody? West Haven is the best community of people I could have asked to grow up in, and I will always pride myself in being a Westie.
That hummingbird never sings, 'cause I'm the one that's rambling in. Knew that you'd be in the lake just in time to resuscitate. Something's off for a mist, it seems, running away from all our childhood dreams. You're the one who still wants it all. Mine's the mind that cannot seem to recall. Since 17,